Okay, Friday night. What is it? 8:50. Be quiet. Look, the guy can't even wait till I do the intro. So anyway, so here we are. Here I am on a Friday night, and I was gonna go for my little walk. DOG's not here. I guess he's gonna be here tomorrow. And we heard about the chief of police talking to the media, saying, and what is mental illness? What is crystal meth? There's no such thing as a drug problem. Everything's fine. The report came out. I'm going all over the place. I'm tired tonight. We'll see how this is. So I got the police chief right on the phone, right here. How you doing, you?
I'm doing well, you?
Me? I'm never okay. I'm Scottish. But that's a different story.
Well, actually, I'm glad you're in a good mood and you're quiet, because you might be able to get somewhere.
Good luck. Okay, you came out with this report that you appeared in front of the Public Safety Committee, is it called?
Yeah, annual report you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the media grabbed hold of something, and I'm sure there's a lot in that report. How many pages is that report?
About 7 or 8. I got it in front of me here, actually.
7 or 8 page?
Yeah.
I thought it would be more.
No, it's just it's more statistics of where we were, on last year, and it's all divided into different categories, and so we can go into it if you want.
So there's
you
two.
Go through the whole thing with it.
No. We don't. Then I let you talk. No, but that's what I'm supposed to do. That's right. The cops let the other people talk. They get more information that way. I'm supposed to let the police chief talk, but you'll be reading from a piece of paper. That's no good. I like to let you talk off the piece of paper. Okay, let's focus. They said there was 200 complaints more than last year.
200 complaints in what area?
Mental illness.
Mental illness, yeah.
Now,
so the mental health calls increased actually significant over the last year. And
what is mental illness?
Yeah, mental health calls.
What kind of mental health call are we talking about?
Well, actually, I don't know. I can't tell you what the mental health calls are because I don't know. But when we talk about a call to the police for someone in distress that needed assistance and ended up, giving them to the hospital or getting them involved with social workers or whatever trying to avert a crisis, that would be categorized by us as a mental health call. And last year, calls went up significantly in last year over the year before. Quite a bit. Probably about, if I'm not mistaken, it's probably 200 calls more. So
is that connected to the virus that's been going on, the pandemic, or is it just drugs?
No, actually, I think there's both. I think there's 3 things that, in my view anyway, and one person's opinion obviously, but COVID certainly didn't help. People are in a lot more people are home, a lot more people are anxious. There's a whole bunch of issues with respect to, anxiety around work and the virus and everything else. That's certainly one component. The second thing is, and I've said this in the past, that no different than what you said, we got a significant drug problem in the city on the streets, and that's certainly causing a lot of concern with respect to the need for mental health intervention and calls. And I think the third thing is, you look at, I think in January, it's the Bell Let's Talk Day, just as an example. I think a lot more people now are more open to talk about mental health. I think people are a lot quicker to call for help if need be. They're a lot quicker to ask assistance from family members, friends, and the like. And in saying that, obviously, there's more calls for us to respond to. So, we had a lot more calls for assistance with respect to mental health, and we also had a lot more calls to transportation of people to the deck for medical assistance.
So cops are not cops. Cops are social workers.
Well, that's an interesting. A lot of times, we are involved in situations where that component of the call certainly does revolve around.
You're breaking, Roger. Are you on speakerphone?
No, I'm not on speakerphone. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You were breaking.
So, a lot of the calls do revolve around us trying to intervene in a way to get them the assistance that they need. So, is it actual police, related? Probably not. But here's the dilemma: who else is going to go? And there's a whole thought out there that all these the intervention should be at the doctor level, psychologists, mental health professionals, social workers, and I don't disagree with that. But if a call comes in that has a level of violence attached to it, or potential violence, or weapons, social workers and medical professionals are not going to go into those places without a police officer with them.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're trained to do. Try to diffuse a situation or de-escalate a situation as best we can and get them the help that they need. But there's a couple of things this year that, the mobile crisis unit, they're working, albeit they're not working 24/7, but they're working 7 days a week. I think they work from 10 or 11 in the morning or noon until in the evening. And they attend a lot of calls with us if they can. We've got the body-worn cameras where the police.
What? There's not only. You mean you guys are starting to act like bloggers now? Carry cameras?
No, but actually, the cameras. It's not like you. We use them for a different reason.
Yeah, I bet you do.
We can go to a situation where a person is in distress and actually connect that person or a mental health professional to what's happening on scene to assist us and that individual in de-escalating it and getting them the assistance that they need.
I saw that in the media. Yeah. So does that work? Does that happen a lot?
It doesn't happen a lot, but it only needs to happen every now and then for it to be worthwhile.
True.
And there's a lot of places, a lot of larger cities where they have mental health professionals, social workers that actually work inside the telecom center so they can take the call and try to deal with it over the phone. There's some larger cities, I think Vancouver is one, I think Toronto is another, where they actually have mental health professionals that are actually on patrol that work with the police officers.
What else?
In a city the size of Fredericton, that's not financially viable. So we're trying other things to be able to connect people in distress with mental health professionals.
What else is there in that report that you didn't talk about to the media?
Well, we talked about that. We talked about some of the rise in
crime.
Break and enters, outbuildings, thefts in vehicles, motor vehicles. Again, if you look at the stats and try and decipher what it is, a lot of it is what can be considered, thefts of opportunity. Interestingly enough, you probably know this, the price of drugs on the street, that is, went up significantly during COVID. And there's probably, it's a supply and demand thing, a whole bunch of reasons for it. But because the price of drugs went up, people with severe addictions had to find money somewhere else to zero in on their addiction. And the easiest way to get money is to support your habit is through stealing and selling stolen goods and breaking enters into, buildings, sheds, stores, homes, vehicles.
Anything in that report about cops chasing welfare bum riding a bicycle with no helmet?
No, we gave it up.
What?
Yeah, we gave it up.
Oh, really?
I think you were the last one.
I was the last one. Oh my God! I was the last guy to stay in the tent for the legislator. I'm the last guy in everything.
I saw a picture of you the other day, bundled up. You wouldn't have been able to get a helmet on anyway. It was too cold. The other thing too is unfortunately, we saw an increase in intimate partner violence and domestic calls.
I bet you did.
We're not the highest in Canada, but we're certainly not the lowest. And our trending in and around, intimate partner violence and domestics are certainly something that we're looking at. And you do know, and I'm sure you do, because we've talked about it in the past, where we have 4 social workers that work with us on a regular basis as part of the team. And we just, in the last quarter, last 3 months, we actually had 3 social worker students working with us as well. So we have 7 people, and one of the social workers, her expertise is in and around youth and youth at risk. Another one's expertise is in the area of mental health, and another one of the individuals in the hub works. He zeroes in on the intimate partner violence and the files that have potential to get out of control. And another guy who looks at vulnerable sector within the community and, minority groups that we need to get inside and help. So those calls were service for high. We talked about property crime. We talked about that. Crimes against people. Again, it can be, common assaults are, they pretty much remain consistent. Where we saw a little bit of an increase is in crime against people, serious crime. So that's where you're talking, self-causing bodily harm, robbery. We had a homicide there just before Christmas. It only takes a couple of those to actually, skew your stats.
How come per capita? Sorry, boy, you got a nice soap opera here for my 7 viewers. My God, I'm letting you talk. I must be tired. Per capita, we have a severe drug problem here. What happened? This has been really bad the last 2 or 3 years. You came when, you?
I've been here almost 3 years.
Sorry, I didn't want to have a gotcha a moment, but the last 2 or 3 years has been really, really bad on the street. You see it a lot.
You do. But here's the issue, though. I don't think we're any different than any other city across Canada, number one. If you look at, larger cities, big cities, Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, they have a really significant problem, obviously. When you look at cities the size of Fredericton, Moncton, Halifax, St. John, proportionately, I don't see any big difference. I think we're all tackling this from the same problem. You see, meth is a big issue. I don't have to tell you that. You can see it when you walk in and around the city. One of the reasons for that, well, actually, there's 2 main reasons for it. First of all, it's cheap. It's not as expensive as trying to get, cocaine or heroin, so it's an issue. And secondly, it's so highly addictive.
Yeah.
And once people make that poor choice to go down that road,
that's it.
And that's it.
It's just like me when I was, if you were at a party, okay, you want, I'm tired. Okay, do you got some bennies, Black Beauties? Thank you. AD, I didn't even know I had ADHD in those days. I need that, like I need a kick in the head. Anyway, focus. So now you're at a party. Oh man, hey, try some little crystal meth. Try a little bit of crystal meth. It's not going to hurt you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. How come the police, the government, politician, local politician don't get together and advertise on TV? I'm sure you've seen a couple of videos of me chasing Dominic Carty if they're educating the kids in school about drugs. Crystal meth, just crystal meth only. How come they don't ask the government to do advertisement on television and social media about not drugs, just crystal meth only?
Yeah, well, one of the things that we've been focusing on in the last 3 or 4 months is what we call the Atlantic Met Strategy. And what that is linking all police forces in Atlantic Canada together so that we understand how big a problem is. We learn from larger cities, because a lot of times if you look at methods, distribution, costing, labs, how the stuff is cooked, or importation route costing and the like, a lot of times you see a trend from Western Canada towards Eastern. And a lot of times we have the benefit of understanding a little bit more about the problem before it gets here than some of the other places. And so we started, the meth strategy here. We work with, all police forces across Canada. All police forces in the Brunswick are working together with Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, PEI. And ironically, part of the strategy is exactly what you're talking about. Because you can't expect to deal with a problem the size of meth in and around our cities just through enforcement.
No.
You can't do it, right? So you got to get people into, the clinics. You got to get people to understand before they even get involved in it. And I think that's where you're coming from. If you get into the school system and you can teach people or make people aware of how addictive this stuff is, how much it destroys lives and families and on, you might have a chance of saving some before they go down that road. But once they start down that road,
it's done. It's done.
It's a problem. It really is. You can tell a person who's highly addicted to meth just by looking at them. Number one, you see how it deteriorates their physical systems and their mental health systems. Then there's violent issues. It feeds into the homeless issues in and around the city.
Zombies.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, and I don't, I honestly don't think that. I know for a fact that this wasn't a career choice of people. I think it was a bad choice. I think it's a choice where they were in the wrong place at the wrong time, or hanging out with the wrong people, or made a decision to try something and then became addicted.
Yeah.
And then make other decisions that make it worse.
And plus,
unfortunate part.
And plus, there's no discipline. I mean, there's no if the first word that comes out of a kid's mouth is 911. And when we grew up, I mean, there was no 911. But change the subject for a minute. Like Blaine Higgs, Corona, the pandemic, sort of slowed him down on the agenda that he wanted to do.
Because for all of us.
And it slowed him down. You, as chief, when you first got in there, which I gotta admit, I was surprised, did the Met situation slow you down on what you wanted to accomplish?
You mean did COVID slow me down?
No, Met. Higgs is COVID, you is Crystal Met. Did Crystal Met slow you down because of what you wanted to accomplish?
That's a lot of problems, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Yes, because when you start to zero in on it, like as an example right now, I'm led to believe, I don't have the facts, I don't have the exact numbers, that we probably have somewhere between 30 to 50 people living hard in and around the city that are, got some fairly significant addiction issues. And that's not counting the ones that are in the shelters and in the homes and, placed where they need to be to try and get help. So when you try to zero in on crimes against property, crimes against people, and you see the just the sheer number of calls, volume of calls that are mental health related, every single day you're getting calls. If you're going to have members tied up at the hospital to bring someone in and they're over at the deck for, sometimes hours before the person gets admitted, and look at what's happening in the hospitals, right? The hospitals are overloaded.
Yeah.
Medical system is overloaded. And then all of a sudden, you got people up there trying to work through COVID-related issues, accidents, major illnesses and the like. And then all of a sudden, the police will show up there with a person who chooses to
Yeah, so it slowed you down on it slows down on other issues.
Yep.
And it's the same thing. Speaking of the coronavirus, all your officers has those 3 shots? Or just 2 shots?
No, all of our members are fully vaccinated, which is incredible when you think of it. Like, we have 109 sworn officers, and I think 146 in the building. And at present, every single employee in the building is fully vaccinated.
Good.
And the other thing that, which I'm, it certainly has to play into it, we have not had, and knock on wood, because who knows what's around the corner next week, but we have not had one member or one employee get a work-related COVID positive test.
Really? That's good. Okay, before we get ADHD distracted. Okay, so in about 3 hours, the city or the province is going to be shut down for 16 days.
Yep.
Now, am I allowed to get out of here? A lot of people would say no. They would be happy if I stayed here. I'm allowed to get out of the house and go for a walk, right? We had this conversation about 2 years ago.
Yeah, you can.
I could go out and walk wherever I want with